Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And in this lesson, I wanted to deal with this article here, right, which says which cities are investing the most into AI. And what you're pretty much seeing, as it already mentions here, is this global AI race, right? As to where at some point, right in the past, you had what was known as the global arms race. Now, the new race is for AI investments, advancements, technology. And immediately, right, what I thought about was Revelation 12 and 12. Okay, reason being this adoption of artificial intelligence and this embracing of it is also being used to cover up the transition into a new system, right? When people look at AI, most people look at it even from a standpoint of not having a detailed understanding of it. A good amount of people look at it as like convenience, when they think about ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or these different chatbots that are using these language models to power them, and how businesses can automate things. Like, they look at new capabilities and growth. So most people look at it in a positive light. And that's why so many people are rushing and pushing towards it. This is a very, very convenient way to attract or usher in, a new digital world. Okay. In the past, when they would mention smart cities, they would mention smart cars and the Internet of Things. It was, we would talk about it like, yeah, smart cities, and then you wouldn't be able to go past a certain certain distance from where you dwell, or you would lose signal or service or whatnot. Now we're seeing like how that becomes possible, right? With this new age of technology and these technological advancements. But it's like a driving factor or a catalyst to speed up the transition into the new world, and into, with all this going on, introducing a micro CHIP as part of it, or part of interacting with it, and becoming a part of not just the Internet of Things, but the Internet of Bodies. That wouldn't be, so crazy to people anymore, because you have a whole infrastructure that has now been set up, and technology has now advanced. And they'll push it in like cool ways, right? They'll make it look cool, they'll make it look convenient, and they'll do it to a point where a lot of countries are adopting it, a lot of companies are adopting it. So it's not a strange thing, right? At the time when you had like Sweden adopting the micro CHIPs, or back in 2017 when you had, I think it was Three Squared Market, using and mentioning, um, you know, the use of the micro CHIPs, it was almost like out of place, right? Because the technology during 2017, at least available to the public, wasn't even like what we have now, right? So now that you have technology that is advancing on this level, and you're having new quote unquote breakthroughs, it doesn't seem so out of place to introduce a micro CHIP, or say that, hey, it's going to function with this new system and this is how it's going to go. People are going to be down. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But anyway, let's go into this real quick. Pretty interesting, the percentages here. And these numbers are from, I believe, 2023, 2024. So it says, as the global AI race heats up, growing share of AI funding is being funneled into a few dominant tech ecosystems. And something that's also useful is, as you start to see and read these articles, you start to see like current events, it's always useful to go back and watch those like old videos. And I'm talking about videos from like interview videos of like Klaus Schwab, or the World Government, or the World Economic Forum, and look at some of the things they were saying 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And you'll see how it makes more sense now, the things they were saying back then, why they were speaking as though, this thing was already fermented, right? And already planned out. Because now you're like, oh, now you can see how some of the things that he mentioned would be able to be assimilated into society because it's already going in that direction. Now you understand what they mean by, technology not being wearables anymore, but now being subdermal. Now you understand, so when you look at what they mean when they say like the average individual should or will need to have like a working knowledge of programming language or like Python or something like that. Well, if everything is AI, then no longer is it, you just pick up a phone and then you just start tapping things, but now you got to have like the basic baseline knowledge has to be upped a bit because technology is being upped a bit. So a lot of these things they were saying will start to make more sense. The reason they could say it back then is because they already knew what direction they were pushing things in, and they knew at what point in time it would start to become more public to the people, right? That's that insider knowledge because they're already ahead of the game. At least so they think. And this is all going accordingly because it's also in line with prophecy. It says here, this map via visual capitalist Kayla Zhu visualizes the top 10 regions with the highest share of venture funding in the ecosystem that went to AI native companies. And it seems like every day there's something new that's coming out. Like, oh, people are now doing this with AI, doing that with AI. Look, when you look at how much information the world has been able to acquire by humans doing things, and then you imagine how much more advancements and information can come by just using artificial intelligence to do the things that humans were doing before, from archaeological finds to historical, research to, all these different things. Because as technology advanced, you had like humans, because we can do these things, but the reason they use technology and the reason they make AI look so powerful is because it can do it very quickly, right? And it has more resources. It does a lot more in a lot less time. So give a human being given enough information and enough time, you'd be able to do it. But it'd take you a long time, maybe centuries. But the artificial intelligence can do the same thing, but in like, freaking nanoseconds, right? And so imagine how long it takes to when you find an ancient text to decipher it, for example, versus having an AI that is now a model that is trained and knows how to do these things. And now it can use more resources and do that same job, but quicker with more accuracy, right? And then you look at all these other kinds of things that humans do, and you're like, how much more can you get out of it if you use artificial intelligence? So these are some of the I'm blanking on the word I want to use, but it's some of the bait or the benefits that are put forth to make it seem attractive to people and companies and countries to want to adopt and join this AI race. But the end of this is going to be at the end of the day prophecy. So anyway, so here you can see the percentages. You can see here Beijing, right, with 66% share of venture funding that went to AI companies. And then right after you have Silicon Valley with 62%, right? So it's called a race because it's like each country or region is trying to see who can get, to the next breakthrough first, right? Who can dominate in this domain over here. And then you have Toronto, right, with 50%, right? Seattle 15, New York 14, Paris with 43%, Tokyo 16, Shanghai 22, Amsterdam 16, right? So as we go down, this data comes from Startup Genome with data covering 2023 and 2024 funding, right? So you can imagine these numbers have gone up, right? Maybe even the positions have changed and when you factor in 2025 funding. AI native companies are defined by Startup Genome as companies that build cutting edge generative AI models and deploy AI agents that automate tasks. So you can imagine, you know, some like some function, right, that does one thing, and you just keep adding more and more conditionals to it, right? A conditional is like, if this happens, do this, right? If that happens, do this. And you just make them more, you build more intelligent algorithms, which are just a series of steps to accomplish a goal. And you put those into that function. And all of a sudden, when you run that function, it seems like a super intelligent thing. But it's just like saying, hey, go to walk, right? Just start moving your legs and just go straight. And then eventually you're like, whoa, that's not going to be enough, because what if there's something in front of you? You don't want to walk into it. So then you add a conditional to your function to say, go straight, but if you see something in front of you, stop, right? And then you might add another conditional to say, if you see something in front of you and there's nowhere else to go, like you can't turn left and you can't turn right and you can't go back, then just stop. But if you can go right, then go right. But if you can't go right and you can go left, then go left. Like, these are the tiny conditionals here that you put into the function. And then you build an algorithm, you put that into, like, say, some moving robot. And all of a sudden, it seems like the robot is so intelligent that it knows when somebody is coming in front of it. So it stops and it goes around them. It's all just different conditionals that you've baked in there, and you make it more and more, detailed and refined to try and catch a lot of these cases here. And then all of a sudden you got this model here that's doing things, right? So you have companies that specialize in that, and they train models. When they train models, it's once again just like testing that algorithm, that function you wrote, and against different cases. Like the example I gave you. Now you have it walk, but then you block it into a box. What is it going to do? And then at that point you may find out, oh, there's a problem in the function. Let me add one more. Let me fine tune it a bit more. So then they use data like books, videos, the internet to train these. That's how they train and set up these models. So when you go and ask it a question, it knows how to answer your question because it's seen similar things over and over and over again. And then you also have the AI agents, as it says here, to automate tasks. So these are like, you take that model and then you just add like abilities for it to do things. So it can send emails, or it can like watch a video, and then it can tell you if there's something wrong in the video or whatever the case is. And that's what companies want, right? They want to be able to automate tasks. So, why should you have a personal assistant who is scheduling your calls and your meetings when you can just have an AI do it, which might do it with more accuracy, right? And then you have to pay it. Enhance decision making and drive innovation. Top cities by AI funding. So this is what we went through, but you can see Beijing at 66.2%, followed by Silicon Valley at 62.4%. It says here, Beijing startup investors are placing their biggest bets on AI, dedicating more funding to the growing sector than anywhere else. So you can see now why it's moving so fast, because literally quite like the whole world is trying to race to this. Everybody is sprinting, so it's really just at this point like a matter of months before you start to see those drastic changes. The Chinese capital now leads the world in AI deal concentration, with 66% of its ecosystem's startup funding directed toward AI native companies, just edging out Silicon Valley at 62%. Yet, in absolute terms, Silicon Valley remains the dominant global hub. It attracts over 65% of all AI native funding worldwide, double its shares of overall tech funding, which stands at 32.2%. Then it goes into these other, these other parts here. It says Beijing has quickly emerged as a magnet for AI investment with major local startups like Baituan AI, Zipu AI, Moonshot AI, and Shengsu Technology, collectively raising billions from tech giants and government-backed funds to advance AI models and tools. So, like I mentioned in a previous video, what you're seeing now with AI being able to do is really just like the beginning, right? The bare bones of it compared to how much or how far they can take this. I mean, think about it, right? Even the whole internet. Like at one point, the internet didn't exist, and when it first was created, it was still very primitive. But now look at it today, right? So the Lord has definitely put the spirit on them to be able to um, push through with this, but it's to serve the purpose of fulfilling prophecy. Now, this is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." And that's the key part right there. They know they have a short time. So they have to find ways to speed up, their advancements and their plans. And they cover it up in a way where it's like you would welcome them to speed up their plans, right? Until, okay, now everybody has worked together, we've gotten here. Okay, now you guys can go. Now this is the actual destination that we're really trying to get. And they show that all the time. They foreshadow it, right, in movies and TV shows, but they know that majority of people have been blinded anyway, so they ain't gonna get it. But like I keep saying, man, keep an eye on it, because it definitely has a role to play in all this, right? This whole AI has a major role to play in all this. And if there's one thing you see in common in most of these um, dystopian depicted futures, it's always some super advanced technology with some system that you can't really like hide from or escape from, because it's damn near everywhere. You got advanced humanoid looking robots. You got all these things, and you're seeing how the world gets to a point like that. Right. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.